It's too late for me, my friends. Once I gave refuge to the notion, even for a moment, there was no turning back to comfort again. Only a lifetime of defeats, more or less spectacular. So I'll march on to your court dates. I'll gather court dates of my own. I'll miss the ones in prisons and the ones who never made it there. The ones who said, onward comrades to our death, with ruin on their breath, who waited centuries on their tongues. Loaded failed manifestos in their guns, as if defeat repeated often could someday mean we had won. Our history's a vacant lot, littered with empty bank accounts, sobbing parents' broken bones. Glorious songs and lengthy prison terms, a handful of moments that were truly our own. In between desperate gasping for air worth breathing and times worth living. In between desperate gasping for air worth breathing and times worth living. Came to this world a loaded handgun, firing at random, hit the people who were closest, not the ones who deserved it. And some of them still don't talk to me, can't say I blame them for a second. I'll try to aim more carefully, but it's too late for that, I reckon. But not too late for regret. I'll walk barefoot and smoke inside any chance I get. But in the meantime, come on, let's go for a ride like we used to, pistols drawn, screaming liberty or death. Although I think we wanted both somehow, but we'll take the cash instead. Stack it high, my friend, till it reaches to the sky, and us and God can call it even. And look each other in the eyes like you did to the county prosecutor. Told them that you were the shooter, but they'd never take you alive. Grabbed his pen and stabbed him in the eye, ran off, never to be seen again. When they strike, hit back harder. If you can't just hit back meaner, everybody's got a name and an address and fragile bones to protect what's beating in their chest. Lash out and vanish into mist. Gumshoes can take one in the head. Same to anyone who's ever seen a cop and didn't bludgeon them to death. Same to anyone who's ever had a job and didn't hang their fucking boss off the roof at the post office. So come on, let's take a ride like we used to, daggers drawn, screaming liberty or death. Although I think we wanted both somehow. Came in this world a loaded handgun, I'll leave it empty or not at all. Someday, when I'm a better man than this, I'll listen to the stack of folk punk demo. I'll be eating apples and vegetables and shit by then. I'll breathe in more oxygen than smoke. And I won't reference books that I haven't read, or that I read so doped up that I couldn't talk. I'll learn to like animals, even your fucking dog. Someday, when I'm a better man than this, I'll tell this cop to his face that he's a fucking pig. I'll be pulling jailbreaks and shit, sending nail files in your birthday cake. shot by fascists who just communists and liberals who've been waiting all along to be the fascist cops. This morning I can't tell if I'm nihilist or religious, or if there's even a difference. If God made the West Texas Highway, guess there probably isn't. There's a darkness in my bones, it reaches all the way down to the mud. There's a spark that's in your eyes, it catches flame, and it burns all through my blood. And every friend locked up or raided, it's reason enough to go all in, to raise the stakes, to call the bluff, to burn all the world down for the sake of the ash, for the things that we've got coming through the storm of gasoline and broken glass. This morning I can't tell if I'm anarchist or religious, or if there's even a difference. If I'm waiting for the right time to act, well, is it? There's a darkness in my bones, it reaches all the way down to the mud. There's a spark that's in your eyes, it catches flame, and it burns all through my blood.
I'm depressed. Not like full on depressed. I'm just bummed. I'm bummed. I had something I was really looking forward to this weekend, and it's not going to happen. At least this weekend. Bare minimum. It's not going to happen this weekend. That's what I get for being excited about something. I hate this fucking universe. Don't ever get your hopes up, kids. Don't ever get your hopes up. So, the eternal pessimist that I am. Knows, well, I mean, no wither, but it's, I mean, tangentially related, but no, it's something else. Yeah. So there's, that energy I'm trying to shed today. Also, I was dealing with the federal government today, so that's always a fucking, just a barrel of fucking monkeys. Yeah. Yeah, how dare you try to be happy? Bonk the universe. Had to try and go up to the Social Security Administration, and they the office is an absolute shit show right up the street from me. It's only one in the area. I mean, an absolute shit show, and not like federal government shit show, like real shit show. They have like third-party private security, and they're not letting people in the building, and they're like, I walked up, and like while I was there, one woman walked up, and the fucking security guard comes out and fucking slaps his finger on the fucking door on the number to call for appointments, which we'll get to in a second, and looks at her and goes, if you have to shit somewhere else. I'm like, I mean, she didn't say anything about needing to go to the bathroom, but apparently this is the level of discourse that we expect from this office, right? Like, literally just like rent-a-cops. Fucking piece of shit rent-a-cops. One black woman was there screaming her bloody head off, and they almost called Metro on her. I think mainly they tried to call... The reason I mentioned a black woman is because that's probably why they tried to call Metro on her. There were other angry people there, by the way. The black woman, they threatened to call Metro on. Also, wasn't white people telling them that. She fucking doo-doo with some interracial exchanges going on. Yeah, the rent-a-cop was Hispanic. So there was some very interesting words exchanged between the black woman and the Hispanic rent-a-cop. Yeah, it was really fucking, it was just insane. They're insisting that you have to call for an appointment, and if you call the number, it just hangs up on you. So I was like, I sat down outside the office, and he's like, what do you need? I'm like, I'm going to sit here and call this number repeatedly until somebody actually answers the IVR system, because this is bullshit. This is bullshit. You're telling me I need an appointment, but the number I call hangs up on me. So I'm going to sit here until I can figure this out, or else I'm going to be back here again, right? Like, I'm not going away. So I sat there and so I eventually got, it's called aggressive cultural diversity. Yeah. I eventually just sort of gave up after numerous people, etc. And I came home, and I was so like, what the fuck? Like, it's literally just broken. Like, there's no way to get into that office. There's no way to get into that office. They wouldn't even let people speak to the manager or the supervisor. Nothing. Like, one woman was like, I want to talk to the supervisor. And the guy just looks at him, and her and goes, no. Like, it was literally just, there was no way into that fucking office. So I came back and I called the governor's office. Yeah, Cassie, I called the governor's office. I was the only thing I could think of. I was like, this feels like something you call a governor for or something. This is like the sort of thing that like somebody further up the political hierarchy can like get an answer for that the peons can't. Right? Like, so I'm like, I'm going to call the governor's office. So I called the governor's office, and I talked to a woman for a while in the governor's office, and she gave me a phone number, and she said, you fill out this form and like you can get in touch with, Sisolak, our governor, this way, like he reads that sort of thing. I'm like, okay. She's like, can I get your name and phone number? So I left her my name and phone number. She calls me back like 20 minutes later and goes, I have a different phone number for you. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, just call this number. So I called the number, and a woman picked up. And she's like, how can I help you? I'm like, I'm trying to make an appointment at the, this specific office. She goes, oh, I can do that for you. I'm like, that right there. That's the problem. The governor's office had a direct phone number to somebody to set the appointment. Like, it was just, governor's assistant or somebody called me back with the phone number that I needed. Not the phone number they're giving out to people, but a different phone number. And yeah, fucking lady answers and sets up an appointment on the 28th for me. Fucking, yeah, I'm like, what in the fuck? Oh, don't worry, it's going to make the rounds, Cassidy. Locally, it'll make the rounds where it needs to be. Fucking, yeah, I was like, what in the fuck? This is the problem with hierarchies, right? For certain tiers and rungs of the hierarchy only recognize certain tiers and rungs of the hierarchy. So yeah, that was like, Jesus fucking Christ. So yeah, that's the recommendation of the day. If you're dealing with these assholes, just call the governor's office. Oh, I just, I'm burned out a little bit. I'm a little burned out. I've had a long fucking day, and I'm disappointed because my plans for the weekend fell through, and I just was really, really looking forward to those plans. Got a few things done, but yeah. Glazy, snitching on the federal government isn't snitching, is what Caboose is trying to tell you. Snitching on the feds ain't snitching. That's turnabout's fair play. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just a little slightly off my game. Let's just put it that way. For a couple of reasons. One of them, one, maybe I'll be able to like tell you, here after a few weeks, I'll be able to share some of this story. But for now, I'm keeping it pretty close to the vest because I need to emotionally protect myself from this one. So yeah, that's definitely what we're doing there. A similar experience at an unemployment office. I was returned to process something. I don't remember what, and they were having a computer issue. On my way out, I crossed paths with an employee of the administration who had talked about Twitch and was and what I was doing in there, and he was interested in doing music there on his time off. He went in an office with my paper, processed me as I was on my way. Yeah, exactly for just. Administrative hitches exist to deny your rights. Yeah. I've been having to deal with some very formal, bureaucratic, administrative, hierarchical systems lately, in combination to us, in combination with putting myself out there in a way that I really, really, really instinctively deep down don't do, because I like to emotionally protect myself. So I've got I'm out on a few limbs right now, personally, like in my private life. I know you guys think like, how much of a private life do you have? You share so much, but there's things I hold back intentionally. And I'm out on a couple of limbs right now, like emotionally, and it's tiring and taxing. Let's just put it that way. So, I don't know where I want to start this stream. I mean, there's the start. I need to turn the fucking air conditioning on, I think. Jesus Christ, it's hot. Thank you, Resolution. Thank you. I will take them. Yeah, you know what? Fuck this. Yeah, I think I'm going to turn the air conditioning on. Dude, it's fucking hot here. Nevada, what are you going to do? Yeah, of course you will. That's just a fucking old wives' tale. The fucking police benevolent fund bumper sticker, thin blue lives, fucking dude. They'll pull you over anyway. It's just a wives' tale. Because it may garner you some slight favor with an individual cop, but no, on a large scale, no, it does nothing to protect you. It's adorable that you think that you can be on their team. You can't be on their team unless you're on their team. If you're a cop, you can get some of that goodwill extended to you. If you're not, then you're just a fucking citizen. You're What's up, Karina? Driving a Tahoe works better. Yeah. Oh, what's up, Weasel? What's up, Weasel? Yeah, dude, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try today with that. Yeah, let's just do, I don't know, let's do a few headlines and then we'll dump into doing the origins of and problems with modern policing. I tightened up the script. I cleaned it up in a couple of ways. And we'll do a segment on it today. So I have a recorded segment because we don't have one of them on YouTube yet. So we'll do that. Oh, let's see. What are some headlines? Oh, I can't talk about that one. Dude, I'll talk about that one after the show. If there's a headline that I want to talk about, I can't talk about it on air. Oh, let's see. 80% of the UK police accused of domestic abuse have kept their jobs, according to figures recently released in the UK. NYPD precinct is facing outcry for a Hemingway quote. For those of you who don't know the hunting of men Hemingway quote, there is no hunting like hunting of man. And those who have hunted armed men long enough and liked it never care for anything else thereafter. They've got it on like letters this big on their wall. There's a fucking, the Brooklyn, one of the Brooklyn police precinct houses has the hunting of men quote, like plastered on their wall. Letters that big, just like across the wall. Yeah, classy, right, Aka? So, fucking cops at it again, right? You know, it is what it is. UK cops have a massive steroid problem too. I mean, it's easy access. Steroids are easy to get in the UK. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. The civilian panel on the violent... Where was that? I forget where that was, even. Let me try and find it. Where was this? Miami. Of course. Of course it's... Of course it's Miami. Of course it's Florida. Of course it's Florida. Y'all want to see, fucking here. Let me get you the footage. It's TOS.
Civilian investigation.
All right, let's see. Yeah, I don't care about any of this. I don't care about any of this. Okay, here we go. So this is what she looks like. So let's show you what happened. And she's unconscious.
That video and a second angle we're now seeing, both from police body cams, were scrutinized publicly Tuesday night.
This is Officer Hernandez right here.
Here, Miami's civilian investigative panel revealed their findings.
So we'll do it one more time so you can see. Boom! 2 hands around her neck while she's handcuffed, arms behind her back, slams her face first into the ground, out cold like that. The cops saw nothing wrong with it. The cops didn't see any issues. The fellow officers you could see were like, what the fuck, man? But the civilian oversight panel was like, Jesus goddamn Christ. You fucking choke slammed this bitch unconscious, literally abrading an entire half of her face in the process. Right? Like, it was, you know, fucking grievous assault of a vulnerable person. Oh yeah, what they were doing before the cameras were everywhere was just absolutely psychotic. Absolutely psychotic. I'm sorry, is somebody... I'm from a country. What country? Yeah, what country? First off, vagaries don't fly on this channel. So, I'm from a country that is neutral to this conflict. So what country is that? But still, YouTube has banned all Russian media from our perspective. Again, who is our? Because you're using a collective inclusive that may not include us. Americans are hypocrites. They hate censorships, but censors Russia even to those countries that are neutral. Okay. One, YouTube is a part of Alphabet, which is a multinational conglomerate. What's up, Chapu? So it's sort of a supranational entity beyond the bounds of a country. For the purposes of economic and political science discussion, at least, we should make that distinction. While it was born of the U.S. Two, is the U.S. hypocritical? Yeah. Yeah, it's hypocritical because humans are hypocrites. There's not a nation state on this planet that isn't hypocritical because humans are innately hypocritical. So, I once sailed on the censorship sea. War bad. So where is this person? Did they just shit and run away? Is that, I'm guessing they just shat and ran away. What's up, Monster? No, I'm not on probation. Not that I'm aware of. God knows the fucking mod staff probably sits in and goes, still here? Well, then speak up. Speak up, Pookie. What was his name? Mr. X Fan. Is Cupcake here? Profile him. What's up, Mr. X Fan? Come on, engage. I'm here. I'll operate in good faith. Let's talk. Where are you from? I need context. I'm 938 kilometers tall. That's impressive. Yeah. You know what? This is going to be counterproductive to do this via voice and text. So, Mr. X Fan, why don't we have the conversation on the air? Why don't you come on the air? No, because the hypocrisy is born of self-interest. It's born of self-interest and competing interest, and it exists within the animal kingdom as well. It's just a human moralistic classification that we deem as hypocrisy. That's all. This material condition is fucking bunk bullshit. It's a product of the immortal science of Marxism, which is absolute dog shit anyway. So let's just go from there. What's up, Zealot? No worries. Yeah, Mr. X Fan. Let's actually have the conversation on the air. I'll happily get you on the air. We can discuss all of the tiers and levels and degrees of American hypocrisy, but we're also going to discuss Chinese and Russian hypocrisy. We're going to discuss capitalistic hypocrisy and communistic hypocrisy. We're going to discuss some of the innate intrinsic psychological elements that lead to and produce this hypocritical action on the part of human beings. We are going to have that conversation then. Because if you think that it's just America who are hypocrites, then clearly you haven't been paying attention to humans. Do you think that there's a country on this planet that is populated by people who have no capacity for hypocrisy? Because that would be my next question. Is there some utopic paradise that we were all unaware of that we should be moving to? Because apparently the material conditions in that location dictate that human beings are incapable of it. So, yeah, Yeah, because there's never been a hypocrite in Cuba or Vietnam whatsoever. So you know, non-compete lives in Vietnam. So apparently the material conditions in Vietnam are not sufficient enough to counter the hypocrisy of somebody like non-compete. So either that's his outside decadent Western influence that he has brought in and tainted the utopian paradise, my wife, or the material conditions are insufficient to counteract his nature. What's up, Fire? Either way, both those are out. Yeah, his name is American Johnson. Dude, he's a former fucking venture capitalist too. I mean, Jesus. Well, we sometimes learn from our mistakes. Ideally, we learn from our mistakes. But that isn't a guarantee in any way, shape, or form. Antarctica. There's humans on Antarctica. The world is fucked. The Matrix was right. All hail our lizard overlords. Did he leave? Mr. X fan, where'd you go? Don't want to have the conversation. Let's talk. I think there's a valid conversation to be had around the big tech censorship of the entirety of a nation state. That's a valid talking point. It's a valid conversation to be investigated. The need for a non-centralized, distributed sort of topological network format. That way we can avoid that sort of censorship from centralized data platforms like YouTube or Alphabet and Twitch and Amazon, all this shit, right? That's a valid conversation to have. But he front-loaded it with moralistic judgments and half-truths. So we need to investigate his perceptions and inherent biases as well first. Chapo, you'd wake up in fucking like in Burning Man. You just fucking wake up in Burning Man. There'd be some smelly hippie chick with her fucking like, you know, in your face or something. You'd be like, no, what the fuck? Oh, well. Yep. Yeah, he ran away. He ran away. Oh, well. Rip. Oh, hey, look, Jacksonville, another Florida cop, arrested after sending nude Snapchat photos to a boy. Local boy. Interesting. That's two Florida headlines so far. Kicking the shit out of a 22-year-old girl and sending nudes to a kid. So yeah, it's just an average Tuesday for Florida, though. Cop doing cop shit. I know, right? Cops doing cop shit. A senior Anaheim, we'll get it out of Florida. Senior Anaheim police detectives say, by the way, if you aren't familiar with Popo's Bizarre Adventures, welcome to Popo's Bizarre Adventures. Senior Anaheim police detective is suing, saying her sergeant tampered with the sex offender database just to sabotage her career. And there's proof. He was going in and changing details on case files and dates of filed paperwork just to fuck with this police detective. Like, yeah. Like, and there's like, it's a somewhat solid case from what I see. We're gonna follow that one for a while. That one's gonna be making its way through the courts for a minute. We'll see where it ends up. I could mention that in Dunkirk, New York, they tried. I don't know. I don't speak for Democrats. I could probably speculate, but if you think that this is somehow a democratically aligned or associated channel, I would suggest maybe you ask a couple of questions prior to your assumption as to the politics of the room and the streamer. I would go that direction. Just because somebody has criticisms of the police vis-a-vis the headline of the stream doesn't mean they're necessarily a Democrat. So, you know, assumptions and all. Dunkirk, New York, the city got caught offering a journalist, wait for it, offering a journalist $750 to stop investigating them. They got caught on video. The city city officials tried to bribe a local journalist to stop investigating the police department with $750. That was their offer. Oh, not only are they stupid, they're cheap. It's binary because no middle ground ever gets elected. Lovely. Hi. What's your name? Straight Origin 2. Hi, my name's Kai. I'm a lifelong anarchist. I was raised in Vermont. My mother brought me up on things like Arlo Guthrie. By the ripe old age of 15-ish, I was involved in various scenes. By age of 20-ish, I was an Occupy organizer. By the age of 28, I was a confirmed theory head. I have probably 2 decades of anarchistic direct action and theory writing and praxis under my belt. There all are alternatives. Just because I choose to engage in different methodologies, creating dual power structures at a communal and grassroots level, doesn't necessarily align me with either of those two false binaries. That false binary that you, two binaries, it's essentially 0-1, it's a binary, it's a pair, with that false binary that you put forth. So I'd love to have the conversation further. What is anarchy? Because you've just made a very declarative statement about a topic that I'm relatively well educated in. So anarchy always leads to a form of government. I think anarchy is where everything begins. What is anarchy? Start there. Oh, somebody helped. Cassidy. Anarchy is zombie apocalypse. Yes. And if you come join us in a game of Zomboid and you see how anarchists play something like a zombie apocalypse, you'll find that we tend to just rebuild society. We tend to build hierarchical structures and have a more equitable distribution methodology. We've proven that in 7 Days to Die. We've proven that in Zomboid. We've, any sort of what would inevitably take on a PvP role. When anarchists play it, it becomes a communalistic effort. Anarchy is everyone for themselves. No, it is not. Anarchy is from the Greek anarchos, an meaning without, archos meaning ruler. So anarchy is literally a system of organizational methodology, or an organization that doesn't have a hierarchical leadership structure, or a leader at the top who has authority to tell the people underneath of them what to do. They cannot inflict their will upon their subordinates. It uses a hierarchical or horizontal organizational methodology to accomplish these tasks without coercive or oppressive elements within it. This is anarchy. Now, I understand you've probably been lied to a whole lot. So I don't blame you for your misunderstandings. There has been a concerted misinformation campaign against anarchism since about 1913. Wilson administration really kicks it off. So there you go. Consensus. Do you understand how consensus decision-making works? I ask this question as if I expect a yes, but I have to ask the question. Understand, I'm not being sarcastic or smarmy. I literally am attempting to engage in a methodology of, like, it's attempting to use a Socratic methodology. I'm trying to draw answers out. So do you understand how consensus decision making works? Because we use consensus. That's how we apply things. Yes. Yeah. You can't even wrap your head around it, huh? It's actually completely doable. It's done regularly, but it's so foreign to somebody who was raised in something like the US that you literally can't even begin to fathom it. It truly is an alien concept to you, isn't it? Libra. 1% of the genius disagree with the society? Well, the way the methodology works is it's a federated, a localized assembly voting system. So what actually happens is that the vote happens from the bottom upward rather than the top down. So the vote actually starts at a local council or assembly level and then progresses via that way, as opposed to the operating modality of today, where the vote that decides the tonality or the law or the structure or the regulation, forgive me, of the land happens at a top-down level, with very little say due to the representative nature of society, of our political system. So under an anarchist consensus decision-making system, using a federated methodology, what would happen is the vote would actually pass upward. It would never even get to the highest levels of federation in the land if the people didn't approve of it first. And then, using consensus decision-making and federated methodologies, you can have segments of society opt out from particular segments of the decision-making. And how the network structure chooses to operate depends on the individual nodes of the network. So you could have townships, countyships, stateships, those sorts of structures that you would be familiar with. Let's just use size-based, right? We're talking scale at the end of the day, right? You would have those sort of scalable structures that would then decide for themselves how they choose to interact with an entity that has chosen not to opt in to a particular set of decisions. People with jobs, let's start there. That tells me nothing. Stray Origin, would you like to actually talk about this? Would you like to come on the air and have this conversation? Because you're going to be at a distinct disadvantage this entire conversation, and we could probably clear more ground if you were just on the line with me. It's up to you. No pressure. I'm still that anarchist Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I don't know what people with jobs, let's start there, means, but we could elucidate a how do I say this without being smarmy? That question was poorly designed. So if you'd like me to answer the question, the jobs thing needs to be reworked, please. I can't. As it was structured, there's nothing really for me to touch on. What's up, Kensai? Okay. People who contribute to society bring in money. Why do you see money as the only metric of successful contribution to society? Right? Like, that's so a mother or father who stays at home with their children and raises those children are not contributing to society by your metric. Would you like to restructure your question? Man wife. What's up, Bobby? And Bobby in chat, Bobby6969. I'm talking to Ag Fencer when I say Bobby. Sorry, that's his, yeah, longtime member. Wow, you're gonna bite that bullet. Hi, Bobby. You're gonna bite that bullet. So rearing the next generation of human beings is not contributing to society in your eyes, but getting gas money is, so getting gas money is metricably, like quantitatively, more important than raising a child in your rubric of success. How do you know they have less understanding of finance? I mean, we have a community member who's got a fucking dual degree in finance and economics who raises his fucking kids. He's got a better understanding of finance than you or I will ever have. That seems like a very, very poorly designed rubric that you're operating under. It lacks nuance to a degree that renders it ineffective. Oh, we'll get to that. Username. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that. It's a process. It's a process. I know in chat a lot of people want me to skip to their point, but there's a logical process I tend to walk through using a Socratic methodology. So like, yeah, don't worry, I'll get there. We're just starting to pull the thread, as it were. The necessity of contributing to society and the metrics by which we gauge that is a further down the conversation line. I'm just here for bad movies. I respect it, Bobby. I respect it. Did I miss something? Oh, he follows Dylan Burns. Never mind. So this week on an intern with learning difficulties, he helped me with preparing the production, and on the other hand, learned some new skills, but no money was exchanged. So would you say none of us contributed to society? Yeah, by their metric, they would. By their metric, they would, yeah. I think they'd bite that bullet, actually. The people voting should have understanding of what they're voting for and how it affects other people too. Okay. Origin. How are you going to enforce that? By what means are you going to enforce that? Are you going to have a voting test? Who's going to design the test? What are we going to put on the test? Should it include American history? Will it include deep philosophical topics? Will it include political science topics? Because I've got an understanding of philosophy and political science. You know what? I spent my entire life in information technology, and information technology runs this world now. It is one of the most powerful forces on our planet. High technology is deciding how society forms. Facebook algorithms determine elections more than political science probably at this point. So I, as an information technology specialist and professional who's compensated well for my knowledge, have a much deeper understanding of IT than probably yourself, just based off general guessing and general societal penetration of that knowledge. So I think we should probably have a information technology and operational security section on the voting test, on the essay. Now, are you prepared to pass that section of the test? Do you understand machine learning? Are you prepared to discuss algorithmic processes? Do you understand the psychology behind the manipulation using feed timelines and hot or not lists and those sorts of things, right? Like, can you can you discuss any of this at a deeper detail? And are you prepared to test and defend your voting rights because someone like me designed the test? You see the problem here with what you're attempting to implement? Or am I just speaking in circles for you? You think only people who understand that field and work in that field should vote for that. Interesting. So you feel that voting should be segregated and that all topics should be categorized, and the only people who have say on those topics, whether those topics affect your life directly or not, life or death doesn't matter. Only if you have proven a level of expertise in that topic, you should be able to vote for it. Do you understand military strategies? Do you understand military strategies? Are you a military strategist? So if the United States military decided that they wanted to suspend habeas corpus, which technically it already is, if they wanted to suspend habeas corpus and the United States Army wanted to occupy our cities and we put it to a vote, you would not be allowed to vote on it. And you're in favor of this system. Then straight origin, only an army guy can vote military structure stuff. I wish you luck with the implementation of your system. I think you will find that the anarchists will rise to power on a global scale before you will see that system implemented. What you are attempting to do is undermine the individual autonomy of the citizens of the nation. You are attempting to undermine the actual power of the citizenry. You are attempting to undo the Constitution itself. You are attempting to undo the foundational roots of the philosophy that underpins not only our country, but liberal democracies on a global scale, born of even the Greek tradition. You're attempting to uproot 2,000 years of tradition, basically. I think you will find it a very difficult task. I think it's a foolhardy task. I think it's wrought with problems. And I think that any political analyst, any political scientist, any economists, any cybernetic theorist, any topologist, and quite frankly, anybody who's got a decent head on their shoulders would probably point out a plethora of problems readily with what you are ascribing to or what you are attempting to promote. But again, I wish you well. I wish you luck in your endeavors. I think that this conversation has probably reached the ends of its, any potential fruitful production that it could have, given that what we've just found out is that you actually believe that you believe in vanguardism. You believe that an elite few of academic learned men should have say over the vast populace of a society, which you probably are. You a Marxist by any chance? Are you like a Marxist-Leninist origin? Because this feels like you're probably an ML. I would suggest then you type !8V and then go take the test. You need to get a sort of a compass bearing of where you are, because it would be super useful to yourself and others, frankly. Resolution. Oh shit, it's too early for MLs. Yeah, it's exactly what. There's a word for that form of government: rule by elites in each field. Can't remember. I know. Might be something. We talk about Russian something or other. Yeah. What they're advocating for is, well, not necessarily oligarchism outright, but definitely vanguardism. Because the oligarchism is essentially the elite few determining. The vanguardism is sort of the panel of experts determining. So it's closer to vanguardism than it is oligarchism, but it definitely has overtones of oligarchism as well. So, yeah. And what was it? Killbot fucking said something along the lines of too much government will lead to anarchy. Another person who doesn't understand what anarchy is. Killbot, that's not what anarchy is. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So you made a claim, Killbot, that you are a political analyst from India and you don't understand the most rudimentary definition of anarchy. I challenge the fact that you are an accredited political analyst then, because clearly you have no political science understanding whatsoever. Sorry. I don't mean to call you out that hard, my man, but a statement like too much government leads to anarchy means that you don't understand what anarchy means. You're using a colloquialism in place of a prescriptive political science term, which is not indicative of a professional within the field. Anarchy is when mother took my Xbox, so I sold her to the cartel. Exactly, Zealot. That's fair, public. Most of them know that there's an alternative, though. Most of them do. Whether they utilize it or not, that's another matter entirely. Anarchy is when the government does nothing, and I do. I mean, it kind of is, actually. That's actually a pretty good, reductive definition. So I'm guessing Killbot69 decided to not participate in this conversation, I guess. Caboose, there you go. Oh, Lord. It's interesting some days. What's up, Yervin? Obvious troll is obvious. Been a while. Seems like I missed all the fun parts of Twitch politics. Yeah, radio. It was a fucking thing. It was a thing. Anarchy is when Russia invades Ukraine and the people of Russia riot, protest in response. Not far away. To be fair, you are intimidating, Kai. So what do we do with criminals in anarchism? It depends. The conversation actually begins before the criminality. The number one influencer and predicting factor within criminality is actually access to resources, poverty. Poverty is the number one predictor for increased criminality rates. Then there's a variety of health and human services things that you could talk about, exposure to lead, et cetera, and so forth. But the conversation actually begins prior to the criminality. So once you reduce the elements within society, the coercive and oppressive elements within society, and you start giving equal and equitable access to resources such as healthcare, such as education, then what you find is drastic reductions of criminality. Now, by no means am I saying that anarchism will magically get rid of all criminality. What I'm saying is that you can probably get an 80 to 90% reduction off of the top, given that generally estimates are in the 80 to 85% range for the driving element of poverty causing criminality. So I'll be conservative and we'll just say 80%. We're left with 20%, right? Okay, so you have a 20% criminality rate left. What are we going to do with those? Well, even under anarchism, the individual and the society both have the right to self-defense. Now, you as probably an American, I'm guessing, you feel like an American to me. Yeah, you as an American. Wait, did he come back and say something? Oh wow, he's an idiot. Holy shit, he's an idiot. All right, I'm just going to keep interacting with Stray Origin because Stray Origin actually seems like misguided but willing to learn. That's I'm not interacting with that. So, okay, so the individual and the society both have the right to self-defense, but you is probably a Western democracy type. So Europe, America, Canada, something like that. If I'm wrong, correct me, feel free. But I'm guessing you've never actually seen a prison system that was humane. The closest thing I could get you to a method of confinement for recurrent antisocial individuals would be something akin to a Norwegian prison system, where they have full access to it's like a college dorm with access to therapy, with access to like higher education, with access to all of the trappings of society, but segregated from society, because society still has the right to protect itself. So yes, we would isolate those problematic individuals within facilities, but those facilities would be run in a manner that is completely alien to Americans especially, but most Westerners, most people in this world actually, frankly, like China, Russia, Taiwan, it doesn't matter. Very few nation states and locales on this planet are familiar with this level of humane treatment of the antisocial elements within their society. But Norway would be the closest I could get you to, so you could begin to see examples of how this can operate in a more humane manner, because ultimately we don't give up on them. What's up, nonsense? Ultimately, we don't give up on them. It's not throwing away the key. It's keeping them isolated until that they are of a position of a mind that they do no more harm to society. We're attempting to mitigate that harm, that feedback loop of harm. And so we know what the cure to that is by and large. It's education more often than not. And education is a panacea for most of society's ills. Now you're going to remain a 1% that is just mentally disturbed and is going to be an issue. What do you do with them? You hang on to them. You keep them isolated and segregated from society, but you never give up hope. You never stop treating them humanely. This is the anarchist solution. It's called restorative or reparative justice. It's not retributive like our system. It's a method to improve and help those individuals that would do harm to society. It's a means of giving them the tools, of teaching them, of improving them so that they don't do that. Who asked? Radio. Alex is dealing with a suspension right now. Wait, was there some sort of stupid question? Maleficarum, speak. Speak your mind. What if I'm a wild, wild west person? I don't agree with society. You can't clean that mentality. You don't. Is your degree in psychology or criminal justice? Stray Origin? Don't make statements that you can't back up, by the way. You can actually repair that mentality. All right, so is there ever a limit if they did too much damage? I don't know what you're saying. Like, are you saying that we would summarily execute them? No, that's not an option. That's not a thing. At the individual level, it's very much. John got anarcho-syndicalism. Good on you. Yeah, no. There's an individual level. Under an anarchistic society, chances are if the person went on a serial killer spree or a shooting spree, they probably end up getting shot or put down. Yeah. Like, individuals have the right to self-defense. Anarchists believe in the right to bear arms. We believe in the ability to defend yourself. So if you were actively doing harm in a real life scenario, chances are somebody's going to put you down. But the responsibility of the social group, of the societal structure, is a reparative responsibility, not a retributive one. So once the communal effort to secure the individual takes place, then no, there is no death penalty. There is no too much. Doesn't work that way. Yeah, I mean, the legitimization of murder only dehumanizes society and makes the participants of that society party to murder, unwilling participants and party to murder. So yeah, no, across the board, we don't do that. Non-binary. Well, I don't know where you were coming from, Maleficarum. Basically, all right, irresolution. Good. Then we will restrain you until you come to your senses. Because humans run hot emotionally. And the process of actual restorative justice is to cool and temper and tamp down those hot emotions. You as an individual will always run hot. That's the original intention behind a justice system, is to be cool and to be disconnected and to be slow moving. Because in the heat of the moment, you will want that. But we can't abide by that. That's destructive to society in its own way. And so we would restrain you as well if necessary. But generally speaking, we would probably just put you into counseling and get you to talk to somebody. Open up to a friend, a family member. You would understand that. It's compassion. It starts with compassion and understanding. What's up, Ancom? I know, right, Beast? Beast said, I mean, the truth is acquiescing to that need for revenge. By the way, love acquiescing. Acquiescing to the need for that revenge is why our justice system is so fucked to begin with, an eons old mistake that needs fixing. Okay, so anarchist, you're teetering on the edge of anarchism. I'd have to see your numbers, but yeah, you're basically, you're short of, you've got the old timey definition of anarchism, basically. You're like an 1880s anarchist, weasel. That's basically libertarian socialism is like an 1880s version of anarchism. So, you know. Public, the victim should never be able to decide punishment. I agree. Yeah. Glazy, it's because you want to be something that you're not. Your actual positions betray the underlying ideologies. You want a label, Glazy, but the label that actually belongs to you isn't the one you want. And that's what drives you insane. I'm actually going to engage. Killbot, I see your question, and I don't know if this is going to answer you, but there is a methodology. I refer to it as a Gorzian methodology after Frank Gors. He was a French socialist, in which you can argue that you could use the leading knife edge of a progressivist movement to bootstrap a dismantling of governmental systems to create dual power structures if you are very, very clever and keen. So there's an answer to you, Killbot. I missed something. Let me scroll. Wait, did I see that? You mainly interact with anarchists on Twitter. Then you don't interact with anarchists. Yeah, I just said it. I fucking said it. You're not interacting with anarchists. You're interacting with Twitter. Go do some shit. Go to a commune. Go to a coffee shop. Go to a protest. I mean, if you tell me where you are, I'll fucking point you to somebody. You can get some actual time in with some fucking like real street anarchists. So, yeah, you're not interacting with. Oh, I'm out of sync. Hold on a second. I'm desynced on my side. Give me a sec. That's weird as fuck. Give me a sec. Let's do that and that. Let's see if... Well, that's weird. I am completely desynced for some reason. Yeah, it's not how that works with her. All right, hang on. Custom, we'll set that, match it, video format. Okay, yeah, it's perfectly synced here, just leave, I'm good. Yeah, I'm a couple of frames behind. One. Okay, I'm back, I think. Either way. Okay. Then, yeah, no, that was weird. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. No. No, I'm not. I'm desynced on this side. Okay, so I came out of sync. Yeah, never mind, you're right. Yeah, the clapping. Yeah, no, it's slightly, there's a slight lag. That's weird. I was playing with some settings earlier, trying to get, because I've got a stutter issue from time to time. I'm on a 4K 60 Pro Mark II Elgato capture card. Like, it's not like fucking, I'm running janky gear. All right, let's try that. All right, that feels better. I turned buffering off, which is probably going to bite me in the ass. Anyway. Okay, enough. Dude, we'll just fucking shit can this. We'll just shit can this if you fucking if you keep going on about bee meat. We'll just pull you. We'll just time you out. Like, chill with the fucking bee meat bullshit. Kensai, essentially a libertarian socialist, is an old-timey 1880s method of saying anarchist. It's an old-school anarchist, before anybody even knew the term anarchist, basically. Yeah, that's what libertarian socialism is about. I warned you. I fucking warned you. So, that's on you. I don't know. We got some idiot that just keeps going off about fucking bee meat. That's a shit definition. I don't know who you are, Pillim, but like you say you've had a VIP badge here before, whoever you are, that's a shit definition of libsoc. Whatever, if you're using that as a definitional set, you're lacking historical context and nuance, which is a reductive method of engaging in political spheres. Don't do it. It's a shit way. Nice, Cat. Good on you. Dude, Bobby, I don't know. I'm sort of, oh God, you know what? Kind of, yeah. We'll see. We'll see if that ever comes together. I shouldn't have spoken about it. I shouldn't have even. I shouldn't, dude. The thing I kind of referenced last night, Cat, fell through for this weekend already, and like I'm just, it just, God, I shouldn't have tempted the universe. All right, the air conditioning, apparently, I'm going to kick it on even harder. Oh my God. All right. You missed jogging. I miss jogging. Nice, Bobby. Thanks. Yeah, I just, I was so looking forward to something this weekend, and it's just, no, I didn't. I don't care. Fucking, like, stop fucking with my air conditioning. I'm the one who pays for it anyway. There we go. Okay, I'm all tangled. I'm frustrated. I'm hot. I'm tangled. Okay. Got, take care of yourself. Yeah, I guarantee my my stepfather, who thinks he fucking actually owns this house. Right? It's my fucking house. But he's got that old man syndrome. So he thinks that just because he's near a fucking air conditioning panel, he gets to turn it off. It's like, go fuck yourself. I own wherever I live. I know, right? Fucking dude, your computer is my computer. Your fucking screen is my screen. Your fucking, like, everything he uses is mine anyway. Like, Jesus Christ, it's all secondhand gear handed down to us. I'm on the edge, y'all. I'm on the edge right now. I'm sincerely on the edge. I was so looking forward to that. Fuck, I'm bummed. Entitled weirdness. And again, Stray Origin, again, personal property versus public property versus private property. Learn the distinction, please. Learn the distinction. And then I saw something go by. I saw something stupid go by. I know I saw it. Don't you think anarchy will be the least of our worries in the next 10 years when quantum computers in USA will be the first to possess the tech once they start using it militarily and start bringing down countries' economies? We already bring down countries' economies. Your concern is like 100 years out of date. What you got, Glazy? And sin again. And sin again. I'm telling you, Glazy, you want your answer to be something that it's not going to be because of your underlying beliefs. Yeah, like What's up? What's up, man? Oh. Did you take the... Oh, wait, Stray Origin, did you take the test? Were you one of the ones that got libsoc? No, you're not one of the ones that got libsoc, were you? So... It's the thing people in chat have been discussing and links going by this entire time. I'm sorry if I'm sounding frustrated. I am frustrated. I am frustrated right now. I'm very frustrated. Something I was really looking forward to is falling through before my very eyes. And fucking... So... Sounds like you need to hit a tobacco. Not right now. I want to engage in some more rhetorical exercise. I need to practice. I haven't been engaging in that way in the last few weeks and fucking like last few streams. So I've been inviting the conversation tonight and just sort of want to engage. My my ethos is a little off tonight, but I think my pathos and logos is on point. My logos is always on point, but my pathos could use a little refinement, and my ethos tonight is just shit. I'm having trouble being the approachable, personable version of myself. Sorry, y'all. I'm speaking a rhetorician right now. For those that speak rhetorician, I'm speaking rhetorician. But yeah, I wanted to refine some of those points, and I don't know if I'm in a position to do it tonight. Well, Lotta, anarchism works. As I was very passively listening and I won my video game, this has to be solid proof. Exactly, Lotta. AP English flashbacks. Yep. Ethos, you. It's the character. Pathos is the emotional appeal. It's Martin Luther King, my children, I have a dream that one day my children will, that's a pathos appeal. And then logos is what I specialize in, is the academic fact-based characterization of the argument. But yeah, I what's up, Redneck? How you doing, man? So yeah, for those of you who need a quick refresher on your rhetorical terminology. Libsoc. Composer, not directly. No, there is no means to accomplish that directly. Right, Viva. The truth of the matter is that basically, composer, once you truly speak the language of a political scientist, you can read that test and know how you're supposed to answer it. Here's how those tests work. Every test subtracts or adds to a pool for scores. There's actually there's scores attached. There's basically 4 separate scores attached, and it's constantly adding or subtracting. And each direction is an axis on the test. So one axis is a negative, one axis is a positive. And so the question that you are being asked may add or subtract from any combination of those scores. And so once you speak political scientist well enough, you can actually game those tests. But the general consensus or the general meta on how to take that test is, one, take it as if you were designing your perfect system. Not the way it is now and compromises, the way you see it. Answer that. And two, don't think too long. Don't ruminate on it. Answer. That will get you closest to you. So there you go. How often do I meet other practice rhetoricians? It's 70 questions and you can speak. There's been people taking it this entire time. You can do it in no time. I'm sorry. Like, I don't have any respect for anybody who can't take that. Like, it'll take you 5 minutes at that. It'll take you 5 minutes. Then answer neutral and calm, and it doesn't change the score. So the problem isn't a problem anymore. That's the whole point of the neutrality option, is it doesn't alter anything. So if you feel that there's an unfair or a non-nuance, because some of those questions are, that they don't encompass the nuance that you would like them to. But that's not how the world works either. So answer neutral and move on. And then it just doesn't affect anything. Yeah, exactly, Glazy. Yeah, a question should not take you more than 30 seconds. If you're taking 30 seconds per question, you're taking too long. 100%. 100%. You're taking way too long if you're do 30 seconds per. Who's my favorite anarchist theorist? Living or dead, Chapo? Living or dead? Or do I just in entirety? Michel-Luc Bellemare. Michel-Luc Bellemare. Yeah. I have to answer Bellemare. I don't agree with a lot of his positions because he's an ANCOM, but I do actually, he has done more to shape my praxis than anybody else. He's done more to shape my sort of methodology. MICHEL space LUC space BELLAMARE. Michel-Luc Bellemare. He's the author of the Structural Anarchism Manifesto and Feudal Capitalism. He has done more to shape my methodology than probably any other. McQuinn definitely has an influence as well. These are all still living. These guys are still living. But if I had to choose outside of that, if you want like a classics theorist, it's sort of a toss-up. You know what? It's sort of a toss-up between Godwin and Proudhon. I would almost take a mashup. If you want a classicist sort of situation, I would say Godwin and Proudhon, like combined, because Proudhon is very much a mutualist, right? And Godwin is an individualist. And I think there's a necessary balance between them. I think that without the individualist influence, you run astray. You start to ignore the individual autonomy aspects that are necessary for the strengthening of the nodal structure of the network. And without the mutualist aspects brought in by somebody like Proudhon, you start to ignore the communal aspects of the actual network, the interconnects between the nodal structure of the network, right? I think that a balance between like Godwin and Proudhon probably speaks to a greater influence in my general style of anarchism, but how I go about implementing that style of anarchism is greatly influenced by living anarchists more so than dead anarchists, actually. My take no like prisoners methodology of sort of like how I am unrelenting in my anarchism is definitely influenced by Emma. Emma Goldman is definitely like my spirit animal when it comes to how I go about talking about my anarchism. I'm not going to concede that ground. I do believe. I am a true blue believer. It's crazy as fuck, I know, right? But I actually do believe. And so that's greatly influenced by somebody like Emma. So like the foundations of my anarchism probably rest upon Godwin and Proudhon. And then the tone of my anarchism is colored by Emma Goldman. And then how I go about implementing my anarchism is influenced greatly by somebody like Bob Black, Jason McQuinn, Michel-Luc Bellemare. Yeah, that's probably some of my greater influences. So there's a long winding answer to your question, which is about par for the course for me. So there you go. It's because you're probably a centrist, Bobby. Yeah, Douglas Adams and Neil Stephenson. Neil Stephenson especially. Yeah. Cryptonomicon, Snow Crash, cyberpunk dystopian technocratic future, right? Like that's, dude, Neil Stephenson. And then my irreverent sense of humor and how the universe is just fucked from the word go, that's Douglas Adams. Yeah. So the smile is for you, Aka. But yeah, so there you go, Chapo. Snow Crashes. I prefer Snow Crash to Cryptonomicon. Snow Crash for me is better than Cryptonomicon, but that's a coin flip for a lot of people. So fair play. If you end up going through Snow Crash and you're like, this doesn't do it for me, I get it. But for me, Snow Crash was the better of the two. A lot of people vehemently feel the opposite. Some senses Snow Crash was great. No, it is. It's a fucking brilliant book. It's prescient as fuck too, by the way. It's creepy sometimes. You're like, God damn. Did they hire him to write the future? It's one of those situations where you're like, this is getting creepy. Yeah, Neil for me, and then Douglas. Yeah, it's definitely that would be my non-anarchistic influence shining through. In some sense, for real. Yeah, no, it's creepy as fuck sometimes. You're just like, God damn, when did he write this? Keep that in mind as I read it if I ever get to it. Yeah, it's I recommend the audiobook. The audiobook's totally worth it. Oh god, that open psychometrics, dude, they're like weird. They're weird. Okay, so that's the only answers, right? All right. Oh God, this again. The job of an anarchist is 51% education, 49% direct action, 1% interaction with the state. That's the job of an anarchist. The job of an anarchist is to inform others as to their potential, power, and capability under an anarchist modality of operation. 49% of their job is to get out there and fucking then do that stuff. And then 1% of their job is to interact with the nation state as it is. Oh, cool. That is an appropriate usage of citable sources for twos. Dude, fucking people put shit in citable sources that drives me insane. I just have to go through there and clear it from time to time. Just delete. It's like, this isn't a citable source. Somebody posted the Daily Mail to citable sources. I was like, you don't cite the Daily Mail? Unless you're writing a paper on bullshit. Then yeah, here's an example. Right? Like, yeah, I'm constantly having to purge shit from citable sources. It's astounding. Oh, so should we do the this is going to go great. Should we do the origins of and problems with policing now? Modern policing? What about the New York Post? Oh, well, in that case, Viva. In that case, I mean, this is fucking holy. Yeah, of course. The New York Post, that's a reputable, that's like the New England Journal of Medicine, the New York Post, right? Yeah. Fucking Jesus. Oh. All right. Let's do this, bitch. Because you've never looked, have you, Killbot? You've never actually tried to study anarchism, have you? You've been working off a deficit of information, which we would normally call ignorance, and then you're surprised. You're like, oh, wow, anarchism has a deep, rich history and a wide breadth of usage scenarios. And there's a multitude of people across a multitude of places on this planet that have implemented these techniques successfully. I never knew that because you didn't bother trying to learn it, did you? Anyway. All right, let's kill the alerts, which I can now do with a single click. Thank God. Oh, what we got? Yes, thank you. Yeah, oh, good. I'm good I timed that person out then, Cupcake. Good night, Akka. Good night. Sleep well. Take care of yourself. Oh, all right. I don't need to see me for the purposes of reading. I just need to be able to keep track of you people. All right, y'all ready for this? Some of you have heard versions of this. Anything by non-compete, Chapo. Anything by non-compete. Anybody for who's that? Who's the Michael guy who claims to be an anarchist even though he's just a right-wing grifter type? Yeah. Malice. Thank you. Malice. Yeah, fuck that guy. Fucking he claims to be an anarchist. He's not. But yeah, anything by fucking non-compete is dog shit too. Let's just toss him to the wolves. He's not an anarchist. He's an ML in anarchist clothing. So yeah. Some of you have heard this. Some of you have heard portions of this. Hi, Papa John. I'm just going to do a run through of this because we need this. We need this as a segment on YouTube. Oh, I wish I looked better. I'm a little worse for wear right now. So I'm kind of, I wish I was prettier. Is what I guess I'm saying. Oh, God, I just saw that word. Oh, cat. Oh, God, cat. Wither. You know what? There's a contender. There's a contender for the worst. There's a contender. That anarch asshole. Dude, that anarch asshole. Holy shit. Fuck that guy. Also, William Shatner called. He wants his bit back. I am talking about anarchism. And I will continue to speak about anarchism. Fucking, like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, that anarch asshole fucking bothers the shit out of me. Oh, fucking 2-hour video and he doesn't say anything in it. 2 hours he doesn't say anything in it. He never gets to a fucking point. 2 goddamn hours. All right. Let's do this. For those that don't know, I stop. It's somebody else. It's somebody else. I stop interacting with chat when I'm reading. So you guys know, like, feel free to keep using chat, but I will not be responding to any questions. Yeah, it is a resolution. It is. I just updated it today. I tweaked it. I tightened it. I cleaned it up. I won't be answering questions. I won't be responding, that sort of thing. So I do a single take of the reading and that's it. Anarch, ANARK. I said his name even. Yeah, you can tell him this. This is the link. All right, so let's do this. Don't go looking. He's infuriating. Okay. Here we go. The origins of and problems with modern policing. The thread. One of the characteristics of modern policing is what I shall refer to as the unbroken thread. The perceived problems exhibited today are far from new, nor are they necessarily best described as symptoms or problems, as they are inbuilt feature sets that date back to the very origins of the existence of modern policing. Power, the underlying problem. Power tends to corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, said the 19th century British historian Lord Acton. In a study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, Catherine A. DeSellis and several co-authors found that that participants primed to think of themselves as and to feel powerful would take on average a higher amount of gain points when allowed to. In Understanding Ethical Failures in Leadership, Terry Price refers to exception making in leadership rules, believing that the rules that govern what is right and wrong no longer apply to the leaders themselves. The general consensus is that ultimately the power doesn't innately corrupt people. What it does is cause the underlying ethical tendencies to reveal themselves. Power causes people to show you who they are. Hold this in mind as we proceed through this essay. The first corruption. First, let us start our journey through history with a possibly, though likely not, apocryphal tale surrounding Sir Robert Peel. Peel was considered a rising star of the Tory party, first entering the cabinet in 1822 as Home Secretary in Britain. As Home Secretary, he introduced quite a few important reforms of British criminal law. He reduced the number of crimes punishable by death and simplified the law by repealing many criminal statutes and consolidating them into what are known as Peel's Acts. In 1829, Peel then went on to establish the Metropolitan Police Force for London, with 1,000 constables employed that were affectionately named Bobbies after Robert Peel. Although admittedly unpopular at first, the venture proved successful in lower rates of crime in London, and by 1857, all cities in Britain were obliged to form their own police forces. In 1829, when setting forth the principles of policing a democracy, Sir Robert Peel declared, "The police are the public, and the public are the police." An honorable statement. Besides being one of the gentrified upper crust of London's finer circles, Peel had another passion of, let's say, the porcine variety. You see, Sir Robert bred and raised, or, well, rather his staff did, and he oversaw it, Tamsworth pigs. I'm sure you can see where this is headed, but just go along for the ride, as it were. At the time, Smithfield Market, the largest and central market of the City of London, was located in the city centre proper. Now, it had become illegal to drive or walk animals through the city because of the havoc, filth, and disease that they spread. But as anyone who's ever shopped for fresh produce can tell you, the fresher the product, the higher the price it commands. Now, as the story goes, Sir Robert had his bobbies drive this line of soon-to-be departed porcine product through the vendor stalls, overturning them and destroying/eating various farmers' and merchants' products as they went. I mean, what are you going to do about it after all? The bobbies were at the ready to cave your skull in with their nightsticks if you attempted to do anything about it, and the man who owned the pigs was one of the most powerful men in the country. Quickly becoming accustomed to this practice, the various vendor and stall workers would see the bobbies and the parade of pigs coming and start shouting warnings to each other. "Here comes Peel's pigs!" Well, it doesn't take long before nicknames and slang catch on, and the nickname transferred from the pork destined to the market to the individuals engaging in the drive itself, the constables. Now, admittedly, this may be an apocryphal tale, or it may not. There aren't many competing theories on the whys and hows of the origins of the pejorative slang for police, but in either case, this one will fit nicely, as if we must choose a story to tell ourselves. The United States. The development of policing in the United States closely followed the development of policing in England. In early colonies, policing took on a different form. It was both informal and communal, which was referred to as the watch. The watch system was composed of community volunteers whose primary duty was to warn of impending danger. Boston created a night watch in 1636, New York in 1658, Philadelphia in 1700. Individuals would take on voluntary duty to patrol and otherwise look after their neighborhoods in case of fire, burglary, or other general misbehavior on the part of its residents. It's a means of looking after your own. Augmenting the watch system was a system of constables, official law enforcement officers, usually paid by a fee system for warrants they served. Constables had a variety of non-law enforcement functions. This continued well after the American Revolution. It was not until the 1830s that the idea of a centralized municipal police department first emerged in the United States. Then there was the largely privately funded policing, which is colloquially known as the Big Stick, which was a system of police departments that were paid for nearly entirely by the businessmen, industrialists, and other such magnates of the day. They would provide the land, the weapons, the uniforms, and even the salaries through a variety of direct or indirect funding. You can see remnants of such fundraising methods today in such means as the policeman's ball or galas. One outgrowth of these entities was private security forces such as the Pinkertons. notorious for their anti-union labor-busting practices. The Big Stick and its fellow private security forces were primarily used to suppress the labor movement, control immigrant worker populations, and ensure the smooth operations of the mercantilist and burgeoning capitalist classes. Then, in 1838, the city of Boston established the first modern metropolitan American police force in the footsteps of the London Met, followed by the New York City in 1845, Albany, New York, and Chicago in 1851, New Orleans and Cincinnati in 1853, Philadelphia in 1855, Newark, Baltimore in 1857, and by the 1880s, all major U.S. cities had municipal police forces in place, all influenced by the Big Stick. Now, the southern states found a different path to follow in the development of their policing efforts. The genesis of the modern police organization in the South is the Slave Patrol. The first formal slave patrol was created in the Carolina colonies in 1704. Slave patrols had three essential functions. One, to chase down, apprehend, and return to their owners runaway chattel slaves. Two, to provide active deterrence for those slaves who might revolt in the form of localized terror squads. And three, as a form of summary punishment for slave workers outside of the law if they violated any plantation rules. Plantation owners could contract with slave patrols to do tasks that they weren't up to, such as chopping hands and feet off. Now, following the Civil War, these groups evolved into modern Southern police departments, primarily as a means of controlling freed slaves who were now laboring in essentially an agricultural caste system and enforcing Jim Crow segregation laws. The eventual merging of these two distinct paths created what we would come to now recognize as modern policing: a racist, anti-immigrant, anti-labor, oppressive, occupying army that safeguards the interests of the few against the many. The thread continues. The 13th. Now, as we continue to follow the original unbroken thread from the initial corruption of Sir Robert Peel through the development of the Big Stick and slave patrols, we find ourselves having to mention the 13th Amendment. The constitutional amendment that people claim abolished slavery in the United States of America. But the truth of the matter is that it did no such thing. In fact, it did quite the opposite. It codified it into constitutional law. Quote, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction." And with those words, slavery and involuntary servitude were institutionalized into America's prison system. The literal nature of this slavery can even be found within Supreme Court rulings, such as in Ruffin v. Commonwealth, in which the court held that, quote, "he is for the time being a slave of the state," end quote. Again, the thread continues unbroken. Corruption, labor abuses, and slavery, all leading into one of the biggest travesties and overall miscarriages of justice in the U.S., the war on drugs. Drugs are bad, okay? Look, we could spend the next 5 years going over the heinous and prolific details of just how bad the drug war has been and how much of an intentional crime against people of color, the working class, and the anti-war movement it has been. But let's just settle for a quote from John Ehrlichman, a domestic affairs advisor to President Nixon, who even spent time in prison for his role in the Watergate scandal. In a piece by Dan Baum for Harper's Magazine on the topic of the war on drugs entitled "Legalize It All," Baum recalled a 1994 interview with Ehrlichman in which he quoted Ehrlichman as saying, "The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and the blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did." End quote. Now, While his beloved children have attempted to refute their father's alleged quote, most people see through this attempt and also understand it, I think. No one really wants to be the children of someone associated with such horrific acts, and the cognitive biases that would arise in that situation, or even bad faith argumentation, would be perfectly understandable. Despite this, that quote pretty much sums up the nature and character of the entirety of the war on drugs. It was an intentional effort by the United States government in order to disable, disarm, and undermine the working class, people of color, anti-war, and anti-institutional elements within society. It was just another maneuver by the system and its associated entities to maintain the status quo. And thus, the thread continues unbroken. The rise of the warrior cop. So, just a quick question. Who gets to be a cop in America? Well, basically anyone, as long as you're not too smart, ask too many questions, and don't rock the boat. Yes, in fact, there has even been a case in this country of a police department being sued by a candidate for being discriminated against because he didn't score low enough on their intelligence test. Police training starts in the academy, where the concept of officer safety is insanely emphasized. Rookies are taught what is sometimes known as the first rule of law enforcement. An officer's overriding goal every day is to just go home at the end of their shift. They drill into their brains to always be alert around civilians, as you can never know which one of us might be the enemy. They repeat phrases over and over, such as complacency kills. And they aren't just being told about the risks, but they're given, but shown in full color, soul-crushing dash cam and body cam footage of the few incidents of officers being punched, kicked, and shot after what is usually explained away as a split second of hesitation. If you want to know exactly how rare these are, see my piece on officer fatality statistics. Listening to that officer's final desperate calls for help, almost all the rookies in attendance will be having similar thoughts. I won't let that be me. Then take Dave Grossman, one of the most well-known and in-demand police trainers in the country, who advocates for a style of policing that is referred to as the warrior cop, which maintains the role of police is to combat evil in the most direct and violent means necessary. He is, after all, an advocate for a so-called science he calls killology, in which he teaches others the nuances of taking a human life. Grossman travels the country offering continuing education seminars to cops and wannabe cops for a hefty sum of money. He's made himself quite wealthy doing it as well. Grossman refers to these students as sheepdogs, battle-readied elite guardians who are innately responsible for and superior to their non-combatant charges. Quote, "We know that the sheep live in denial. That's what makes them sheep. They don't want to believe that there's evil in the world." Welcome to the crux of the problem with modern policing. They're poorly educated, highly afraid, foot soldiers of a system looking to maintain its status quo who have been denied any access to the intellectual tools necessary for self-evaluation of their situation. And that is only the good faith actors that get involved in such a system. We haven't even dug into the self-reinforcing cyclical nature of the antisocial personality types that rise through the ranks and occupy positions of power throughout this system, which then introduce a feedback loop of sorts of eliminating whistleblowers, people who have positive intentions or exhibit characteristics of a person who is able to question authority or think on an individual basis. If you spent the time to truly sit many of these individual downs, what you would see is antiquated belief systems, lack of introspection, and a plethora of innate biases that harken back to previous eras. And that thread stays unbroken. And now for the final two elements atop this terrible layer cake we've constructed. The 1033 program. The U.S. has been arming its police for war since the 1990s. Facing down a swollen military and what it characterized as an ever-worsening drug crisis, the 101st Congress in 1990 passed the National Defense Authorization Act, born of Section 1208 of the NDAA, allowed the Secretary of Defense to, quote, transfer to federal and state agencies personal property of the Department of Defense, including small arms and ammunition, that the Secretary determines is A, suitable for use by such agencies in counter-drug activities, and B, access to the needs of the Department of Defense. It became known as the 1208 program, but in 1996, Congress replaced Section 1208 with Section 1033 and created what is now widely known as the 1033 program. The argument was that if the U.S. wanted its police to behave as drug warriors, it should gear them up like warriors, which they most assuredly have, to the tune of over $7 billion in equipment in 2020, according to a 2014 report by the White House under former President Barack Obama. At the time, the U.S. federal government had provided 460,000 pieces of military equipment to local police, including 92,442 small arms, 44,275 night vision devices, 5,235 Humvees, 617 mine-resistant vehicles, those would be the MRAPs, and 616 aircraft. 1033 procurements aren't a matter of public record, of course, and the Defense Logistics Agency, the DLA, which coordinates distribution of military surplus, refuses to reveal the names of agencies requesting tactical items like assault rifles and armored assault personnel carriers. So, the poorly trained, frightened, undereducated maintainers of the racist, classist, oppressive status quo are now armed to the teeth with military-grade gear. Yay! So, let's get to the final nail in the coffin of why we can't have nice things. Qualified immunity, or why we can't hold any of these assholes accountable. In 1967, the Supreme Court effectively gutted the Civil Rights Act of 1870 by inventing qualified immunity, describing it as, quote, a modest exception for public officials who had acted in good faith and believed that their conduct was authorized. 15 years later, the court drastically expanded the defense in Harlow v. Fitzgerald. Instead of protection being afforded to public officials hinging upon whether the official acted in good faith, the qualifier was now moved to whether the victim could show that their right was clearly established, despite whether an official acted maliciously or not. Since that decision, the court has made it exceedingly difficult for victims to satisfy the new standard. To show that the law is clearly established, the court has said a victim must point to a previously decided case that involves the same specific context and particular conduct. Unless the victim can point to a judicial decision that happened to involve the same context and conduct, the officer will be shielded from liability. And the thread makes it all the way to today. So you see, the origins of modern policing were born of corruption, power abuses, attempts to maintain the status quo by the rich and powerful. And well, nothing has changed. Really, ever. Whew. All right. Here. Let me turn a few things back on. Nope, that's not the fucking browser window I wanted. That's the one I wanted. And we re-enable alerts. Yes. No, we'll let it. That's actually the fucking standard. That's legitimately that's the standard. If a cop ate a baby, the argument is that we've never had to try a case where a cop ate a baby. Therefore, the rights have not been clearly established. Therefore, they are shielded by qualified immunity. And cases, you think we're being hyperbolic, cases such as that have gone forth. There have been examples where you're like, really? Yeah, qualified immunity protects that because we've never had to try a case for that. And the fact of the matter is since we've never had to try a case for it and there's no clear case law on it, they're automatically covered by qualified immunity. Toss a fucking flashbang in a baby's face in a crib. You're good. It'll dig the origins of and problems with modern policing segment will be up on the YouTube channel if you want to see it. That's what it's called. And I found a couple of like spelling errors and stuff as I was going through. I wanted to work on, but I'm not going to do that right now. Ignorance of the law is no excuse unless you're a cop. Then it's fine. Yes, that is exactly true. I saw the genius, the fucking bee meat guy come back, and then get timed out. Cause he fucking absolutely wouldn't shut the fuck up. Just fucking, you know what? That's 2 timeouts. We should have fucking rules on shit like that. How close are the police to a standing army? It's the same. I think somebody mentioned the Venn diagram is a circle. Straight up. I would recommend trying to actually learn how to spell anarchism before you like try and disagree with anarchism. See, that's generally speaking. Here's one of my weird hangups. I actually try to understand a topic before I disagree with it. I know, crazy, right? I disagree with your anarchism. I don't understand anarchism whatsoever, and I'm admittedly new to politics myself, but I disagree with it, having done no reading or research or study whatsoever. I disagree. Maybe a problem with that? There might be some logical fallacies and some cognitive biases at work there, maybe? Ancom, what's your take? I respectfully disagree with Kai's take here, but that's a discussion for another time. Nope, this is now the time for the discussion. What's the take? Why did what get deleted? Yeah, like he just wouldn't shut the fuck up about bee meat. I don't know, some fucking dude who wouldn't shut the fuck up about bee meat, which is just fucking obnoxious. Gord24. Call me Don Quixote then. It's actually not Quixote, it'd be Shield. I've heard the Castilian, the Catalan, like pronunciation of Quixote would be like closer to like Quixote or something like that. It's okay. Yeah, like that, like there's our pronunciation of Quixote is fucking off by a mile or some shit. So they call me fucking Don Quixote then, because I'll tilt at those windmills. I don't think he does anything. Ancom. I'll have this conversation with you. I'll gladly have this. I don't think he does anything. I think he's I think he's literally the epitome. Like he is the highest. I think he's the highest tier of intellectual masturbation in a format that is obnoxious. Yeah, I don't think he actually says anything. His form of praxis is one that speaks to the converted. Okay, great. But he literally has nothing to engage a non-believer. He has nothing to attract somebody who doesn't understand anarchism. He speaks solely to the convert, which I think is counterproductive in both the micro and macrocosmic scales. That is my largest criticism of him. He doesn't convert anybody. He's not even trying to convert somebody. That's not his purpose. And I mean, I would argue that we don't need any more intellectual circle jerks at this point. I think we need people to reach across the aisle. Yeah, when I say education, I mean education of those that don't know. Not the ones who already believe. Yeah, when I talk about education, I talk outreach. And no offense, every single thing he said is in my reading list, like probably 12 times over. He like legitimately covers nothing new. Now, glad you learned something from him. I'm glad you, as an already believer, learned something from him. And I suppose there's room for that in the world. But you know what? We need more anarchists, not more theory heads. And that's sort of where I have pivoted to as a position as an anarchist within the last couple of years of doing that. What I've learned is that I don't need more theory heads. What I need is more anarchists. And Anarch isn't going to create more anarchists. He's just going to create more theory heads. Which, okay, I guess. But yeah, it's about the direct action, as Diggs pointed out. Direct action, baby. Like, that's my main criticism, is it's intellectual masturbation. And that's problematic because the left does 99% intellectual masturbation. That's our heroin on the left. That's our fucking drug on the left. Right? Like that's our shit. Dude, we fucking get really, really, yeah, and infighting. Yes, and infighting, of course. But I mean, I would say the infighting is a direct byproduct of the intellectual masturbation and resolution, because the intellectual masturbation leads to the philosophical discussions, and philosophical discussions inevitably lead to those weird like post-structuralist, structuralist splits, right? Now you've got people, right? You've just got treeing. You've just got, you've got forking, right? To use an IT term. Yeah, like this is my criticism is, one, I find his delivery intolerable. But two, I think that it is just more intellectual masturbation on the left that is more circle jerking. And I don't think that that's productive for the left in the macro scale. Maybe on an individual scale it's useful, and I wouldn't get rid of him. You know, I'm not saying throw the dude in the gulag. I'm just saying I don't think he's productive. I think if you go to his comment section and you read what's going on in that comment section, those are all true believers already. There's nobody in there that is like, I have a question. This convinced me. I was a liberal before I came in here, and now I'm a believer. There's none of that. That's not what he's doing. And I guess deepening the pool of knowledge for the left is a viable and valuable asset. But I think that there's already a billion resources for that. And I think what we need, are you ready to cancel me? Are you ready to cancel me? Okay? I'm about to piss a lot of fucking people off. A lot of you are about to be angry. Okay? I'm warning you. We need more people like Vosh. His Anarch has no rhetorical skills whatsoever. None. Vosh is a rhetorician compared to Anarch, makes it look like a fucking preschooler versus a postgraduate. Vosh as a rhetorician and an orator is miles ahead of Anarch. I have no opinions on Vosh's takes. I have no opinions on Vosh's material. I have no opinions on Vosh's positions. I'm saying we need skilled rhetoricians and orators. That's what we need. Anarch is not one of those. He's not a rhetorician by miles. He's fucking, dude, he's as skilled rhetorician as William Shatner is. Okay? It's just not. It's not. Right? We need somebody who can walk somebody through a dialectical process. We need somebody who can use a Socratic methodology. We need somebody who understands fucking pathos, ethos, and logos. We need somebody who can implement these methodologies to engage in legitimate, like Cicero argumentation style methods, which Vosh does. Now, whether he's doing it for good, whether he's doing it for evil, whether he's on the right side, whether he's on the wrong side, whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny he's a skilled rhetorician. And if you are, you're coping. If you think Vosh does not have the skills of a rhetorician or an orator, you're coping. That's it. You're coping. I'm sorry. Like, you've just given in to the, like, I hate Vosh so much shit. They've got a name for that, right? Like Vosh derangement syndrome or what the fuck it is. I don't even watch this dude and I have to know this shit, right? You're coping if that's the case, right? Like, he's good at it. Now, whether you think he's doing it for good or he's, you know, should be kicked off team entirely, or you don't think he's on team in the first place, or X, Y, or Z, I don't care about any of that. All I'm stating is that Anarch is not a skilled rhetorician. He's not. He's a video essayist who is as dry as a fucking like second year econ professor. He does not know how to appeal to the methodologies that convince people of things. Or at least he's yet to demonstrate it in my eyes. Maybe he's got those skills and I haven't seen them. Maybe it is, you know, a lack of exposure to the correct piece of material that Anarch has that would ultimately convince me that he is in fact somehow a skilled rhetorician and orator. But in fact, I've looked at the videos. I've read the 26-page script. I've read the 26-page script, right? Like, that's my complaint with Anarch. No, Ancom. Oh God, I'm going to sound like a fucking dude. Ancom. Imagine you had a skill set that makes you money. Now imagine you live in a capitalist hellhole. Now imagine you get attacked by your own team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right? Like, you start to see the problem here. Like, you start to see the incentive at least. Right? Right now, the left is eating Vosh on Twitter, and they have sided with the fucking turf. Are you kidding me? J.K. Rowling is now being talked about as the good guy in the argument because the person who criticized her is Vosh. The left turned against Vosh and started fucking blackballing him again and defending J.K. Rowling because the left is so fucking psychotic that they're so obsessed with a personality like Vosh that they would much rather defend the fucking transphobe who is a billionaire, a literal billionaire transphobe, is being defended by the likes of fucking ContraPoints and shit on Twitter because the person who critiqued her is Vosh. Oh, did you not know this, Ancom? Oh yeah, Vosh and J.K. Rowling are in a Twitter beef. And the left sided with Rowling instead of Vosh because he's Vosh. I'm not kidding you. That happened. You see my problem here? Oh, that'd be hilarious, Chapo. You see my fucking problem? Right? Like, this is... How is someone like me to have a discussion around these topics then? Oh, then you're not paying attention because there's a lot of people that aren't. My community keeps me apprised of these things because I refuse to actually engage with these spaces. But I was given the update last night. Straight up. We have sessions where I get updated and the links are given and the screenshots are given. Yeah, no, it's not. Oh, also, by the way, the misandrist attacks on Vosh by certain people on the online left right now who maintain that misogyny is such a terrible evil in the world, yet immediately start rolling out screenshots of DMs of consensual acts between Vosh and individuals within the greater community and talking about his penis size in a negative light and how he doesn't perform well in the bed and shit like that. And then the online left backing up that attack and using it. Great look. It's a really good look. It's a really good look. Yeah. It definitely brings a consistency to our ethical frameworks. Yeah. This is getting to the root of the problem, Ancom, is that, yeah, we need people who are skilled at these methods, but you know what? We live in a capitalist hellhole that is constantly applying a coercive monetary element into our lives. At the same time, the left refuses to stop eating itself. Right? Like it's ridiculous. How do you expect to keep somebody on team and not be a grifter? Right? Like, of course they're going to grift. Of course they're going to grift. Right? Healthcare is expensive as fuck. Rent is expensive as fuck. Food is expensive as fuck. Living in this capitalist hellhole is expensive as fuck, right? You get somebody who is a skilled rhetorician in order, and they try and do the progressivist movement. What happens? They get eaten by the fucking left. They get driven out, and they go do a grifter arc. Of course they do. Of course they do. You've given no incentive to stay on team whatsoever. Right? Like, even people can look past the monetary incentive. Yeah, literally Candace Owens. Literally Candace Owens. Literally Candace Owens. She tried to be a liberal. She tried to be a progressivist. She got shat on for it. She overnight turned into a conservative grifter, and she's been famous and rich ever since. She's been making a career of it. She's admitted herself. She fucking overnight became a conservative. She used to have a blog where she'd shit on Trump every day, every week. Driven. Literally Candace Owens. We're responsible for creating Candace Owens. You know that, right? Like, this is a big problem, Ancom. It's a big problem. I will happily discuss this at length with you on Discord, on voice chat, and Ancom. I will happily discuss this at length. I know me being able to do this flow and you working in text and shit, it's a nightmare. I get it. if you want off air, we can have this conversation and maybe talk about some solutions. But I gotta tell you, like, I agree, Twitter was a mistake. I would love to see some solutions, like solution oriented thinking surrounding this, because I'd love to see the left stop eating itself for a millisecond. Because it wasn't the right that got me suspended. You know that, right, Ancom? We have a bot that tracks everything on this channel. We've checked the names. I don't know if you were here for my rant. It wasn't right-wingers that got me suspended. Okay? Yeah. Oh, I didn't say it was tankies. No. Nope. Oh, I'm sure I was ranting about tankies in the same breath. But they're not leftists. So, yeah, I'd love to see some solution-oriented discussion around getting the left to stop eating itself. Because the fact of the matter is that the right-wingers are really good at this. They're really good at this. Dude, this is a lesson we could learn from the right wing, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. You start talking about learning things from the right wing, and the left immediately comes down on you, right? The right wing they'll defend pedophiles. They'll defend fucking pedophiles. All right? Like, all right, Kensei. I'm not saying we just defend pedophiles, but I'm saying, like, if you're on team, like if you're on the mark for whatever they're discussing that day, if it's taxes, right? We're talking tax cuts. If you're on for the tax cuts, dude, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. You could have burned down half this fucking country. As long as you are on the same page for the tax cuts that we're talking that moment, that day, they'll defend you. They have a unity, the likes of which the left can't even begin to understand. There is no such thing as leftist unity. Right-wing unity? Dude, that shit is deep. It goes deep on the right wing. Dude, they will go to bat for each other. Now, they're backstabby in all sorts of ways behind the scenes, but when it comes to like a united front, dude, homie, they understand that process. Dude, they are a minority group in this country. They are a vast minority group in this country, and they have been running roughshod on our asses for decades. There's some lessons we need to learn from that. Gord, yeah, pragmatism needs a comeback on the left. Pragmatism needs a comeback on the left. Yeah, nuanced pragmatism. I feel you on that one, Gord. Yeah. According to Fuentes, they'll only stand with attractive people, though. Probably. Well, you know what? No. Fucking Steve Bannon was dog shit ugly. Fucking Mitch McConnell's dog shit ugly. Fucking, right? No, I disagree with Fuentes. Kaiser, you know why I love you, Kaiser. I don't need to tell you why I love you, Kaiser. You know I love you and why I love you. AJ's a fucking mud monster, as was Limbaugh. How do you start studying rhetoric? Read Aristotle. Start studying rhetoric by reading some of the modern authors. I can get you a couple of names here. Give me a second. There's some really interesting like neurocognitive scientists and psychologists and like research scientists that have understandings of the rhetorical processes that definitely are worth reading. The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt, Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, The Righteous Mind. Thank You for Arguing by Jay Heinrichs, Heinrichs. Thank You for Arguing. Start there probably is the best place to start. If you want, you definitely need to read about Cicero. You definitely need to read about some of the greats as well. You need to study methodologies. You need to understand like Socratic dialectical processes. But then you need to read things like you really do need to read Hegel, and you really do need to understand a Kantian perspective on synthesis and that sort of thing. There's a whole host of things that you actually need to study. Diogenes, not so much. I think you probably need to also study, like I said, you need to study the greats. Martin Luther King Jr. was an excellent rhetorician, but you know who was actually an amazing rhetorician? Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was a natural rhetorician. He wasn't a studied rhetorician. And you can study Mr. Rogers and break it down from a rhetorician's a rhetorical point of view, and you break apart his statements, and you understand, like you can see the rhetoric that's occurring. Mr. Rogers was just a natural rhetorician. Yeah, you need to study the great speakers as well and their methodologies. But yeah, you need to have the philosophical underpinnings as well. But also there's like neurocognitive and psychological aspects. And a couple of those books that I gave you, hey, Watkins, definitely are a good way to go. Also, rhetoric, r/rhetoric on Reddit is a good place to fucking start. They will get you up to speed really quickly. They've got lists and wikis and that sort of thing that can, sort of crunch that initial learning curve for you. Yeah. One-on-one is different from speaking to a group too. Yes, it absolutely is. You'll notice that I tend to, oh God, Gord, you have my sympathies. You'll notice I tend to change. For those of you who have seen me do what I do when I'm at my peak, you'll notice I change based on a one-on-one versus an in-chat conversation with somebody. In chat, I take advantage of the power imbalance, but one-on-one, when I get them on air, chat knows, like I tend to ignore chat and I tend to go with the process that I understand and work with. There's a series of sort of steps to the process, and one of them is that they have to be able to relate to and trust your character somehow. And one of the most skillful ways of doing that is elucidating past experiences and like personal experiences from them and understanding the perspectives. That's why I always ask questions like, where are you from and where did you grow up and that sort of thing, because I'm trying to build a mental map or a profile of this individual to understand experientially where they're coming from, so that later I can make concessions when they have points that they lob my way, because the concessions are the easiest way to engage within the pathos element of rhetoric, right? Like there's an analogy that's used commonly within rhetoric, that it's the rider and the elephant is a really common analogy that's used, and the logic, the reason portion of your brain is the rider. It accounts for about 1% of what goes on, and it happens after. The elephant accounts for 99%, and that is the pathos. That's the emotional load. And that is where you that's where you make grounds. If the elephant doesn't want to march forward, nothing marches forward. If the elephant wants to move forward, the rider doesn't matter. So like there's methodologies to using rhetorical device. And this is where I talk about, like, Vosh is skilled at this. He is. He's skilled at it. And anybody who sits there and analyzes him and goes, he's not a skill, you're coping, right? Like whether you agree with what he's arguing, whether you agree, but the talent that's displayed, it's like, yeah, no, he's a skilled rhetorician in order. There's no way around that. He understands the process. And so, like, you know, that I will always grant him that. And that's what I talk about. Like, we need more of that. And that's what I try and bring to the table is an understanding of it and an engagement. And that's why when I actually do get somebody who is looking to engage in good faith and come on the air and have the conversation, we have some highly productive conversations. One of the most recent ones of memory was that guy Theo, who was from Denmark, who is now in Canada. Dude, he came in not understanding. He thought anarchism was chaos and like the capitalism was the best we had. And what are you going to do sort of situation? And he walked out like completely changed because I saw the window of opportunity and I knew how to take advantage of it, right? Like I knew how to engage in that conversation and I knew how to appeal to his, you know, underlying emotional feel towards certain things. And I was able to pull out of him stories that he had an emotional load from, that, you know, engaging with homeless people on the street and how he felt a sense of helplessness surrounding that and that sort of thing. And I can, it is public. It is. Good night, Weasel. Good night. And so like there's methodologies, and when you understand the process, even to a small degree, you can make huge inroads and huge gains. And I want to see more of that. And unfortunately, what I see is fighting. I don't see arguing. And rhetoricians make a distinction that there's fighting and arguing. This is the love language guy. For those of you who know, there's a scientist up in Washington who filmed couples fighting for like 9 years, and then they're like grad students. It's always grad students. They metriced all of it. They measured emotions and feelings, and they quantitatively qualified all of the things that they observed. And then what they found at the end of it was that no one was having less than the other. The couples that stayed married versus couples that got divorced had no more or less heated engagements, right? What they found was that one of them was arguing. One set was arguing and one set was fighting. And this distinction is understood by rhetoricians, that one of these processes is a two-way street and one of them is a combative element. Right? And this is what you see in online spaces, is that you see people fighting rather than arguing. And arguing requires active listening. It requires engagement. It requires concessions. It requires mirroring. It requires an empathetic response for the person that you're interacting with. And so, like, yeah. I've got a few thoughts on this matter, right? I did speech and debate. I did mock trial. I did constitutional debate. I did fucking teen court. I did drama. I did improv. I did a touring repertory company. I started shy, by the way. I thought about this the other night. I was a shy kid, like cripplingly shy. Imagine me shy. Oh my God, Kai, you just described the issue with my ex perfectly. They don't ever come to the table. Nerd. I know, right, Viva? Of course, they make grad students listen to couples arguing. No one else would be willing. Yeah, it's always the grad students. Dude, fucking poor grad students. Dude, they're just... the torture we put grad students through. Well, I wasn't Kai then. That was a different guy entirely, Beast. I killed that guy. But yeah, I was a very shy child. Like, you couldn't get me to talk to a stranger to save my life. I had a lot of trouble making friends. And well, I fixed it. Right? You know? It's true. No, it's true. And calm. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. I'd up the number to like 95 or 98 even. I'd be amicable towards moving that number north. Yeah. If not for those poor grad students, we wouldn't have 9% of modern science. Yeah, 100%. It's, dude, the shit we do to grad students. Ted Kaczynski is the reason, like, we have the Unabomber because of shit we did to grad students. I mean, I've told that story before. That the reason Ted Kaczynski went all Unabomber on us was because of testing on grad students. That's very real. We created that through grad student fuckery. Where's the memorial to all the grad students? I know, right? Dude, there needs to be one. There needs to be one. Ancom, do you not know the story? Oh my god, Ancom, the story is amazing. I have a thing written on it. Give me a second and I will literally read you the dude, it's one of the most fucked things. It's one of the most fucked things. I have a piece on it I wrote. It's not published on the website in case you're wondering. Okay, here you go, Ancom. So at the start of the Cold War, Henry Murray developed a personality profiling test to crack Soviet spies with psychological warfare and select which U.S. spies were ready to be sent out in the field. Now, as a part of Project MK Ultra, he began experimenting on Harvard sophomores. He set one student as the control, after he approved himself to be completely predictable conformist. He was nicknamed in the paperwork as Lawful. Long story short, the latter half of the experiment involved having the student prepare an essay on his core beliefs as a person for a friendly debate. Instead, Murray had an aggressive CIA interrogator come in and basically shred his beliefs to pieces, mocking everything he stood for and systematically picking apart every single line in the essay to see what it took to get him to break and react. But he didn't. It just broke him. It made him into a mess of a person and left him having to pull his whole life back together again. This student was a brilliant mathematician. Brilliant. Like generationally brilliant. Once in a generation type brilliant mathematician. He graduated, but he turned in his degree a couple of years later. He didn't want it. He moved to the woods where he lived for decades. In all that time, he kept writing his essay, and slowly he became so sure of his beliefs, so convinced that they were right, that he thought if the nation didn't read it, we would be irreparably lost as a society. So he set out to make sure that everyone heard what he had to say. And sure enough, Lawful's Industrial Society and Its Future became one of the most well-known essays written in the last century. In fact, you've read some of it probably, although you probably know it better as the Unabomber Manifesto. That, in a nutshell, Ancom, is the story of Ted Kaczynski. We created him. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, hang on. It would make a hell of a movie. It would. It would make a hell of a movie. The left is broken. We're fucking broken. Oh. Oh. I don't know. I tend not to watch based on a true story movies. No, Square. Not aware. Because, again, see my just previous statement about I don't watch based on a true story movies. Remind me not to take on work to get some extra credit. Yeah, way too many people just ignore working class people as if they should be expected to become left because it makes sense. Yeah, dude, Gord, the left abandoned the working class. That's our fault. That's our fault. Yeah, the CI is woke now, so everything's cool, right, guys? Yeah, that's entirely our fault. The left abandoned the working class. Dude, we created the working class, right? Like, we created the labor movement. The labor movement is the property of the left, and then we just fucking walked away. We just walked away from it. Like, we abandoned the labor movement. We left them to the jackals. It's a travesty and a crime what the left has done. And we started preaching from academic ivory towers rather than direct action in the streets, where that's where it starts, right? Like I have talked about this so many times about how most, especially online leftists, look, like, I'm not talking to Kaiser when I talk about this sort of stuff. I think Kaiser's still here, right? Like, Kaiser's a different class of fucking anarchist, and that's why Kaiser and I came up with the same way, basically. And that's why I infinitely, if you want to guys why I heap praise upon Kaiser, it's because Kaiser and I came up the exact same way. I just turned into a theory head further down the line, but Kaiser's not even there yet, and he's working on it. He's got books. Don't let him fool you. But it starts in the streets. It starts with direct action. And you've got, like, especially these online leftists who, oh yeah, fucking redneck right there, Blair Mountain, who absolutely can't speak to the working class. They cannot speak to them. That's true, public. That's true. The left is willing to abandon any of their values if it allows them to attack someone like they like or elevate their ego. So yeah, I you know, they don't speak the same language even. Like one of the things that hence we have peeps making videos on how gay pride is Western imperialism and peeps take their side over Vosh. Dude, the fact that there are gay tankies is the craziest shit to me. I'm a queer Stalinist. You're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking moron. Like, I'm a queer Stalinist. He would have murdered you. Yeah, there were Jewish Nazis too. Yeah, same shit. People just want to be on the winning team. I don't know what to do with that. Gord, I see so many working class people who strike in what was supposed to be leftist cities, but very few stand with them. Man, we should be overflowing their strike funds and supplying them with food consistently. The thing that drives me the craziest, Gord, the thing that gets me is when they attempt to castigate their working class vernacular, right? I'm gonna use the academic speak for it, right? But if you go down to a heavy labor location, docks, merchant marine, warehouses, factories, like mining quarries, that sort of stuff, right? They speak in a very particular manner. And it is a very rough manner. It is a very direct manner. It is generally recognized as a sort of crude manner, and oftentimes uses pejorative terms that leftists become very uncomfortable around. And they begin to attempt to, as I said, castigate their working vernacular. And that's not how you open a conversation, right? Walking up to somebody and saying, you're a hateful bigot, and you need to change how you speak. By the way, I'm here to help you. That's not how you get shit done. What's up, Knight? Caleb, fucking say it louder. Yeah, that's not how you make progress. That's not how you convince somebody of something. That's not how you help somebody, right? Telling somebody to shut the fuck up, let me help you, is not generally received pretty well. So my dad was a Liverpool docker. His canteen was known as the Kremlin. Nice. That's funny. It's funny. Oh, car accident. I wanted to thank you for the comments on YouTube. I saw that shit. Car accident. Thanks for the comments. Yeah, dude, we abandoned the working class. We abandoned them. And then we wonder why they don't side with us. Right? We sit back and like, what's with all of these uneducated rednecks who vote Republican? Well, one, stop speaking down to them. Two, try actually listening to their needs. And three, try actually helping them. Right? It's... We are so fucking lost. We are so fucking lost. Oh, God. Well, good on you, Crimson. Stray, that would require a conspiracy dating back a couple hundred years. The pattern of leftist behavior is established and is multinational and transcends multiple cultural types. That would require a global conspiracy. And if you want to go into that conspiratorial thinking, that's fine, but we really don't do that on this channel. Crix, when I grow up, I want to be like you, Kai. Good luck. But they're poor and smell weird. You really want us leftists to touch them? I know, right? Elliot, yeah. Dude, Elliot, do you know how many people I can get on board with anarchism? Like, if I just get them on one-on-one without, like, their friends and family and, like, so they're not performing. Like, you just get them in a room and have a conversation. Lots of people, I'm like, look, forget all that shit, right? How do you feel about this? Yeah, that's bullshit. How do you feel about this? Yeah, that's bullshit. How do you feel about this? Yeah, that's bullshit. Wouldn't you prefer to have this and this work this way? Yeah, that would probably be better. You know, and you start pointing these things out, and what you end up with is, like, yeah, that's anarchism, right? Like that's hardcore leftism you're talking about right now. I ain't no damn lefty. Forget about that. Just forget about that, right? Like, most people are further left than they actually think. They just haven't been approached correctly. Nice, Elliot. Gord, yeah, and I see some leftist solutions that are nice in theory, but end up just condescending. Like, I know some leftist groups that do food distribution, which is great. Hey, therapy, thanks for the follow, man. Which is great, but they don't eat with the. Oh, Jesus, goddamn Christ! How are you gonna bring anyone left if you don't interact with them? Maybe sitting down and eating. Food Not Bombs is way better than that, Gord. I don't know who you're talking about, but fucking look into Food Not Bombs, dude. Yeah. God damn it, Smite. Honestly, you could probably convince me pretty easily. I hate nationalism in all aspects and rant about it in historical context regularly. Also, super glad you're back. Thank you for that. Smite. Don't sub on Twitch. Don't sub on Twitch. I thank you, but don't sub on Twitch. Fuck Amazon. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Fuck Twitch. Fuck the Twitch mods. Fuck this anti-LGBTQ fucking shithole. Fuck all of this shit. Right? Like, go. You know, if you want to. Do it on Coffee instead, please and thank you. I would have considered myself right-wing before I stumbled in this stream. Hey, see? Making progress. I can legitimately say I've got a couple few dozen converts to my name. Well, Knight, it's just, you can do membership subscriptions on Coffee as well. It's just, okay, so one, it removes Twitch from the payment process. Two, it means that the creator gets more money to start with. It's almost double what you get. You get about $2 more off of $2.50, right? It's almost double what you would get otherwise. And 3, it sort of, defunds the Twitch economy. I mean, yes, Cat. Yeah, irresolution. Yeah, irresolution. That's pathos. That's pathos. No, I'm sorry. Ethos. That's ethos. Sorry. Jesus Christ. I've been going at this. That's ethos. Irresolution. Using an ethos approach, you are attempting to utilize your character as the rhetorician to influence the person by being likable. That's the ethos methodology. Now, if you tune, hey, Caboose, thank you. If you tune in some pathos and logos on top of that, because what you're doing is you're disarming them. So if you can get into what's up, my crotch? If you can, you get in through the ethos methodology. If you utilize pathos, humor, use humor, fucking humor. Humor is the #1 methodology of manipulating the pathos rhetorical argument sphere, right? Humor is instantly disarming. So if you can use humor on top of that and then mix in some logos on top of that, get a little facts in there, get a little figures in there, that sort of thing, you slip those in, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable. Yeah. Someone who had the words to my feelings, probably converted, I guess, is radio. Caboose. Oh boy, I just gave Kai my doxing information. Caboose, one, I already knew your first name, and 2, I've looked at your I'm pretty sure I looked at your house on Google Maps or some shit. But yeah. All right, Knight. Take care. Thanks. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, take care of yourself, Smite. Yeah, totally. I'm working on being a better storyteller and bringing it all together. Dude, the storytelling thing, Resolution has put in so much work for me over the years. Yeah, the storyteller thing is a really good technique. Oh, I'm sorry, Dig. You know what, Dig? Are you doing anything tomorrow, Dig? If you wanna hang out and watch a movie at my place tomorrow, Dig, and just get fucking stoned and maybe eat some munchies and watch some stupid TV. If you've got nothing going on, hit me up in the DMs. Let's fucking do some shit. I had plans that I was really looking forward to fall through, and I could use some distraction tomorrow. Oh, Crimson. Nah, we won't do that. Okay, rain check. Then I'll just end up doing fucking work tomorrow. I got shit to do. We got so much shit to do. I need to do an intro, an outro, a new intro. I need to do the After Dark intro. I need to do an intro and outro for YouTube clips. I need to do some more writing. I need to do, I need to do thumbnail templates. Yeah, it's not my legal name, Ancom. And I could prove that. So, all right. So we got the origins of and problems with policing. done. So that's good. I needed to do that segment for a while, and we got some headlines done, and we got some, God knows I got some opinions out there. I lobbed some straight at fucking Anarch who's gaining popularity. So fucking dude, the fucking Vosh J.K. Rowling shit is so stupid. It is so stupid. Also, there's a story that I want to talk about, but I'll only talk about it on VC. I teased that at the fucking top of the show. There is a headline I want to talk about. Not talking about it on air. Not touching that shit. Not fucking touching it. Let's see. Was there anything else that I wanted to do? Yeah, we didn't talk about that one. It's a whole fucking thing. Wait, what was Beast? Wait, where did Beast say something? I don't see a response. Somebody just tagged Beast for no fucking reason. All right. What do I think the driving force of history has been? I dig gay sex. I have this. Okay, so I have this. It's half meme. It's half meme. I think human history has largely been determined by the fact that we failed to recognize until recently that we have this thing called the autism spectrum combined with antisocial personality traits. I think human history is basically a pattern of autistic humans being manipulated en masse by sociopaths. And I think if you contextualize it a little bit that way, it starts to make a lot of sense. I think there's merit to the discussion, at least. Sandbox, you're blowing my mind, dude. ANCOM, Britain, America, the Crusades, the Opium Wars, the Drug War, the prison industrial complex. Look at it. Right? This is this is too high level of an idea. Dude, look at it. How dude, I think this is I think the default state, ANCOM, I think the default state of humanity is, I think what we define as normative, neurotypical, neurotypicality, I don't think is typical. I think neurotypicality is in fact the minority. I think the spectrum is the default setting. I think that is the default setting for humanity. I think the neurotypicality is the mutant. I think that's the offshoot. And so you were hoping for some precise examples. Who are the autistic people? The autistic people are the masses themselves, ANCOM. There's no need to specify them. As far as the sociopaths go, just about every single fucking everybody who made the history books. Yeah, there we go. Same time. Red boy of goo. So the great men of history are just the greatest sociopaths. Yeah, basically. Antisocial personality traits. I don't want to be reductive and use the sociopathic term, but to get the point across. Cool. Can I call myself neurotypical now? In my eyes, caboose? Yeah. Dude, fucking look at all of the great leaders. Dude, they're all skilled manipulators. They're all like borderline pathological narcissists. They're all fucking like, yeah, dude, these are antisocial personality traits. Do they have malignant personality traits in large? They're highly Machiavellian. They're highly narcissistic. They're very pathological in their behavior and nature. Yes, think about every CEO, every dictator, every fucking like, yeah, like that's literally what you're looking for in the leadership. And then you start looking at the masses, and I say the default setting of humanity is in fact on spectrum. And I think that what we describe as neurotypicality is in fact a fork. It is a minority. Yeah. I don't think the neurodivergence is reproduced socially. I think the neurodivergence is an innate quality and trait of humanity. And I think that what we're dealing with is degrees. I think you have, as we refer to it, as a spectrum. Some people are barely on spectrum. Some people are very much on spectrum. That what you have is increasing degrees of severity and decreasing degrees of severity. And what we pathologically recognize as autistic spectrum is a more severe set of factors that refer to an intrinsic state of being for humanity. That when you look at when you look at the traits of what we would now refer to as a atypical or a neurodivergent person, that what you're finding is nothing more than a dialed up version of certain elements of human cognition, or dialed down, right? But those are intrinsic elements within the human condition. It's not like it's a different thing. It's just a adjusted variable. So that would be my argument. By the way, I managed to shed a few with that. Joan of Arc, teen schizophrenic girl leading French zealots to military victory until they decided to burn her at the stake because zealots. How can humanity overcome it? I don't know if we can. I don't know. I don't have a solution to it. It's barely a distant analysis that I've put a few processor cycles into. I have no solutions. I have no... because the antisocial personality traits that we're discussing, that's sociopathy, psychopathy, the Machiavellianism, those are all desirable qualities in humanity. It's when it rises to a pathological degree and also becomes harmful when it gets turned on society in a negative manner. But the truth of the matter is that think back to the campfire. Think back to the campfire in the jungle, or think back to the campfire in the like on the savannas of the African plains, right? Like, think back to that moment just for a second, right? Part of this group needs to sleep. All right, you need to sleep. There's hunting and gathering to be done during the day, but you know what? You're not new. You know, as a species, that when you go to sleep, there is shit that will come out of the shadows and literally eat you. Right? That's a very real thing. Think back, right? Way back. Now, there were people in those groups that were perfectly willing and able to stay up all night and stab the first fucking thing that came out of those shadows in the face with a spear. Right? They will take a sharp pointy stick and they will stab the fuck out of that thing. They don't give two shits, right? We needed that behavior. We needed that willingness. We needed that borderline psychopathy. We needed it. It was a survival trait that allowed us to escape from some of these elements, right? Like, we needed that ruthlessness and willingness to kill. But that same set of traits, pathologized and modernized, becomes near cancerous to society. So what once allowed us to further evolve, what allowed us to escape the circle of life, as it were, to a huge extent, now turns against ourselves. And so it's that sort of contextual understanding of these processes that I look at and say, how are we going to escape that? How are we going to distance ourselves from that? I don't know. I don't have a solution for that. But I also recognize it as not necessarily like an othered trait. This is part of us. This is part of what allowed us to survive as a species. And so I don't necessarily know. But I think the analysis and the conversation is where it starts. So, you know. I was thinking mainstream psychology experts have more or less acknowledged your hypothesis without realizing it. By eliminating Asperger's and changing autism to be defined as a spectrum that encompasses every human, it seems hubris that keeps them from so sure that neurotypicality is somehow the default normative. GL, yeah. Yeah. A lotta. Everyone's kind of batshit. Exactly, Kat. Exactly. It's just a theory. It's just me talking. Just me. I have no credentials to back this up. I have no expertise to rely upon. It's just a gut feeling in the middle of a conversation that I once had with somebody, that we were kicking around the idea that, like, you know what? I think most of humanity is actually autistic. And it sort of evolved from there. That this concept of neurotypicality that we're carrying around may not exist in the same way that we like to think it exists today. That using the exclusionary categorized processes that the scientific process requires, when applied to human psychology and human behavior patterns, can sometimes lead to, say, a over-categorization or a miscategorization. So. Oh, no, Karina, it was actually born of a conversation with Mitre ages ago. Yeah, that's where this idea initially got kicked off. It was Mitre and myself. I was out for a walk one night, and he and I were kicking it around. I'm like, we were talking about it, and we were just laughing and joking about shit. And it was like, dude, I think all of humanity's autistic. I'm like, no, actually, I think that's true. And we started kicking it around. We're like, well, what about the sociopaths? I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's basically like autistic people being manipulated by sociopaths, like, for all of human history. That's just all of human history right there, is just autistic people being manipulated by sociopaths. I'm sure there's exceptions. There's always exceptions, but, you know, yeah. I mean, Chapo, if you want to, like, get into it, the fact of the matter is probably the main driver of history is the fact that we're essentially pattern recognition machines, right? That's all human beings are. Is like, all this is. It's just one really, really complicated pattern recognition machine. And we seek patterns where there may not be any, and we become hyper focused on on those processes. It's, yeah. Your resolution basically describes my family system growing up. So, you know, it is what it is. So on the spectrum, on one side is the dark triad, and the other side autism. As I have trouble to see them on the same line. Yeah. Well, no, they're not on the same line. These are two different elements. Yeah. There's like the masses on the autistic spectrum, and then there's the controllers, the ones that we know. Right? Beast. Hail to the king. Interesting. No, this took place like a couple of years ago with me, Trey. I'll give it to you. Why not? There you go. There's your drum. Your rim shot. Not just in the textbooks, eComposer. Not just in the textbooks. There's plenty of stuff that never made the history books. Yeah, oh no, that would be like, that's a rank misunderstanding of autism to try and conflate those two. No, they don't share any of the necessary markers. Just because there's a decreased empathetic response within, portions of the autistic spectrum doesn't at all qualify them. That's a singular marker. Like 25 to 32 markers, depending on whether you're using US or British, UK analyses for antisocial personality traits, and that's just the screener. After that, you need to do a deep dive with a professional. I'm not surprised, Caboose. I'm not surprised at all. I think I kind of want to call it there. I need to make some food, and we need to get Bad Movie Night going. So I kind of want to just call it there. Yeah, fuck that. We're doing it. Oh, we're doing it. I'm just gonna raid over to Endless and fucking we're gonna do Bad Movie Night. Endless is just chatting. Endless is doing some just chatting, so, but yeah, we'll be in voice chat afterwards, for those that do Bad Movie Night with us. And yeah, you're welcome a resolution. I'm sure some of these viewpoints will be getting me canceled sometime in the future. Ancom, if you're still here and you want to talk, just let me know. Just let me know, my man. I'm happy to, have conversations behind the scenes. So, yeah, everybody else, take care of yourselves. Yeah, I'll probably be bummed all weekend. So I'll probably be hanging out on Discord and shit like that. You'll see me around. Either way, I was like, I watched too many USA streamers. Yeah, well, that'll happen to you. We'll be getting in games of sessions of Zomboid for sure. We're getting in sessions of Zomboid for sure. Either way. Yeah, because I told Jay I would.